Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. We can finally put away the milk cartons with Frank Warren's picture on it. He's come out from the cold, he's materialised finally after days of not really saying much about the Tyson Fury situation. So he's hit out and said, yep, Tyson Fury is definitely ready for Deontay Wilder at the end of the year. And in the process of these comments that he's made, he's also taken a massive swipe at rival promoter Eddie Hearn. And he's also managed at the same time to avoid the elephant in the room with his announced fight, which is, of course, we want to know the date and the venue, something that he said would be announced by now. And there's been literally no mention of it. So let's crack into his statements, followed by a few thoughts. And as part of all of that, I want to circle back to Dan Rafael's comments about Tyson Fury and him potentially bulking at the fight. Because the reporter here, he's between a rock and a hard place. But more on that soon. Buckle in. Let's go. So Frank Warren, in statements in a column that he's penned for his website, says, "The green-eyed monsters are on the prowl. As expected, there is some dissing from certain quarters over the upcoming heavyweight blockbuster between WBC champion Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. But don't listen to those knockers who are grinding their teeth as well as their axes. This fight is definitely 100% on. Tyson himself has dismissed as fake news that he is balking at the idea of fighting the Bronze Bomber on his own patch. He insists the bout will happen, so does Wilder, and so do I. Unsurprisingly, it is Hearn, Anthony Joshua's promoter, who has been sowing the seeds of doubt about the fight, suggesting that anything can happen, and the Gypsy King is so far from fighting Deontay Wilder." And the American boxing writer Dan Rafael, who mistakenly reckons he's always in the know, claims a member of Tyson's management team told the lineal champ is balking at the prospect because he felt he needed another fight first. Rubbish, or a stronger word beginning with the word B to that effect. Tyson is self-managed and hasn't spoken to Raphael or anyone else as he has been on a cruise. But as soon as he got back and heard the rumours, he put his fist right through them. And then Frank Warren, he goes on to quote Fury for a bit, effectively his comments that he made on social media, and he says, "I think rather than scoffing at a fight they would love to have made, Hearn should be more concerned about putting bums on seats for the ho-hum heavyweight fight between Joshua and Alexander Povetkin, which apparently is not going too well ticket-wise. I know that plenty of seats are still available and have been given away in competitions and such like. At the moment, it seems that Wembley Stadium will be liberally papered, as we say in the game. It doesn't help either that Ticketmaster have closed their secondary marketing sites either. Believe me, Tyson is in a good place right now, brimming with self-confidence and raring to go, confident he can remove the most meaningful of the world heavyweight crowns from the head of a fearsome opponent who Joshua and his management team most definitely have balked at fighting." Frank Warren's statements for a column that he's penned for his website, which may have been reprinted elsewhere as well. Okay, so it's fair to say there's quite a bit to unpack there, but we'll start at the beginning. Frank Warren, he's essentially from the outset of his remarks dismissing any suggestion that the fight is not happening, putting the speculation down to jealousy. He blames the haters who are grinding their teeth as well as their axes, as he put it, and suggesting that Eddie Hearn has been an agitator in all this. To some extent, Hearn has been fanning the flames, but he's been able to cast a bit of doubt over this fight and whether it goes ahead as a result of the noise that's been generated from Dan Rafael's statements, which I would note it took Fury well over a day to squash and about 5 days for Frank Warren himself to say anything meaningful about. And Warren, he talks about Fury being away on holiday and squashing the rumours on his return. But the question I have is, why didn't Warren come straight out, kill the story from the outset? Why has it taken him 5 days to say anything of note? He could have come out. He is Tyson Fury's promoter after all. He's got a vested interest in Fury's career. Stopping bad news is his business. Curiously, Warren says that Fury is self-managed. But if that's really the case, why did he sign a management contract with MTK Global in November of last year? That signing was widely reported. It's not hard to find. And the press release, which is easy to find as well, Fury indicates that he'd be sitting down with his management, MTK, to choose opponents. And an MTK spokesman in that same release spoke of guiding Fury's career. So I'm not really buying the self-management talk here from Warren. And it is an MTK source that Dan Rafael referred to when he did make the comment of Fury balking at the fight. And as for Raphael himself, Warren, he attempts to discredit him by inferring he's not in the know, and effectively, he made it up. The reality is, we don't know if Raphael's source was telling the truth or not. He's got an obligation to his source, who he claims is from MTK, and if you see on screen here, MTK has directly challenged Raphael on Twitter about the statement from him, just like Tyson Fury did. But Raphael is adamant that his source is within MTK. And Raphael, he is in a bind because he can't reveal the source, because if he does, others will not talk to him in confidence for fear of being exposed. Reporters, they build up trust and confidence with sources over time, and he won't want to burn it all off, all the goodwill that he's built up, by revealing who told him about Fury. But because he won't say anything, it is easy for MTK and Fury and Warren or whoever else to push him on the issue. And from what I've seen and observed from some fans is they are taking the silence from Raphael to be that he's not telling the truth, or he hasn't been honest, or he made it up, or whatever. Certainly that's what I'm saying. But the reality is, he's unlikely to have said anything publicly unless he'd been told something. But that doesn't mean it was true, but he probably was told something. Okay, so moving on. We know that Frank Warren's got an acrimonious relationship with Eddie Hearn. They are sort of bitter rivals. Seems to be a bit more bitter from Frank Warren's side, at least in terms of when they're talking about each other in public. And he goes in on Hearn more than once in this release, but the second time he infers that Hearn is struggling to sell tickets for the Anthony Joshua and Alexander Povetkin fight. And this is something that has actually been swirling around on social media for a few weeks now. I mean, I've had a number of people, sort of sending me stuff or making comments saying, 40,000 tickets have sold. And then other people saying 80,000, 70,000, 90,000. It's hard to know. But with these statements, Frank Warren is categorically saying he knows there's plenty of seats left and they're giving them away even. And it does actually put Warren on the hook to some extent, because if it ends up being close to a sellout or even a sellout, he's going to look a bit silly. But if he is proven correct, and there are a lot of empty seats, it's going to reflect on Hearn, and possibly the popularity of Anthony Joshua will be called into question to some extent. And let's just pause for a second to reflect on Warren's overall statements. He was on attack. He was going beast mode, trying to discredit the speculation, trying to discredit Hearn on multiple fronts, and also Dan Rafael. But he did miss a trick with this column, because he had the perfect opportunity to address the situation of date and venue for the Fury and Wilder fight. Those details we do not know. He set a deadline of a week from after that Fury and Pianeta fight to announce those details. Promptly missed it. And he hasn't really sort of said anything of note. And in this column, he's completely steered clear of it. And this has been an issue that's been bubbling away, especially on social media and in the media in the past week. It's very telling that he did say nothing. He's deliberately avoided the topic. And the obvious question is, why? He is well past the deadline of a week that he set, and he hasn't addressed the issue in any substantial way. He could have and probably should have palmed the issue off to Shelley Finkel and Team Wilder, because they are the ones that are effectively going to be running this promotion in Las Vegas. But he hasn't done that. And he actually put himself on the hook originally when he said an announcement would be coming within a week, because then obviously we go, okay, well, Frank Warren said that. Where is the announcement? So we'll have to see on that one. But what he is saying is the fight is categorically on. And that's as good as we are going to get. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. That's boxing_squared. I'm out.
Just a quick update. I've been reading and I've heard some rumours that this fight's off for me and Wilder. Not on my watch, I'm not pulling out on nothing. It's on. like Donkey Kong. Tyson Fury is like Hakeem coming to America.